In this video tutorial, we'll get our first look at the pedal board. We will discover how to add a new board and how to populate it with modules. We'll take a quick peek at the different type of modules at our disposal, and we'll learn just a bit about how to use them. Finally, we'll see how to save and load pedal boards to our project folder. This is a big tutorial with lots of important information, so let's begin. We can add a new pedal board to our project in one of two ways. The first and most obvious way is to find and click on the Add New Board button in the center of the system board. We can also go up to the menu bar, open the Boards menu, and find Add New Board. Both methods will generate a new empty pedal board for us to work with. Here we can see what an empty pedal board looks like. It's pretty plain at the moment, but that'll change soon. Let's go over the basic elements that we're seeing in front of us. Most of the new board is taken up by an empty rectangle. This space will be filled by our synthesizer, filter, or other process. For now, it's empty, waiting for us to select what effect we'd like to open. Above the empty module space, we have a drop-down menu with the text Choose Module. This menu, when we click on it, will display the names of all available processes. We'll look at these in more detail later in the video. Next to the Choose Module menu is the Automation ID text box. We'll want to give each of our modules unique automation IDs to make it easier to access them from our controllers, scores, and automator boards. We'll want to add an ID after we load our process into the empty module. Automation will be covered in detail in another video. To the left of our empty module is the Save Patch button. Pressing this will save our pedal board to the project folder, making it easy to access again in the future. Any loaded modules will be saved with the board, along with the current settings for the module. We'll save the board once we have it set up the way we like it. To the right of and underneath the empty module, we see two Add buttons. Pressing either one of these buttons will generate a new blank module next to our current one. I'll demonstrate how easy this is by adding a few new modules now. Now we have 4 modules that we can fill with effects. It's worth noting that you can add a new module at any time, and adding a new module will not affect the modules that have already been loaded. Now that we've looked at how to understand the blank pedal board and how to add new modules, let's look at the available processes to see what we can start playing with. Clicking the Choose Module menu presents us with a list of our available processes. Depending on when you're watching this video, my list may look a little different than yours. You may have more options or a different set as the program continues to develop. Regardless, this menu should function in basically the same way. We can see that our modules are separated into 6 categories, although the last one is empty for now. The first category is File Players and contains the Easy File Play and File Play modules. These modules allow us to open up and access audio files that have been saved in our project. Easy File Play is more straightforward and allows us to quickly load and play back multiple audio files. File Play, on the other hand, provides more in-depth control of a single audio file, allowing us to determine specific speed and pitch of playback, and even allowing us to record something new over our audio file. The second category is Instruments. These are all modules that generate sound by being played. Most of these create sound through synthesis, but one exception to this rule is the drum machine, which works from samples. Synthesizers can be played via their included keyboards or a hardware or virtual controller. The drum machine has a built-in sequencer to help you build your own beats. The third category is a large one, Effects and Filters. Unlike the first 2 categories, these modules do not generate sound, they manipulate sound. There are too many processes to go into here, but you have many industry-standard tools including filters, delays, pitch shifters, reverbs, and more. The fourth category, Buffer Effects, are a separate set of processes that manipulate sound by recording signals in real time and manipulating the recorded audio. Some of these modules load audio files, but most work by recording live signals. The fifth category, Mastering Tools, provides a suite of effects that help you mix and master your sounds. This includes a hub and a splitter to bring together and separate signals, an equalizer, a compressor, and other standard tools. The final category, third party, is a catch-all space for any processes that aren't directly affiliated with the core Music STP team. On a fresh install, this list shouldn't have any items, since we don't include any modules that aren't official. Third-party modules don't have to be sorted under this category, but it can be an easy way to make sure that your add-on modules stand out. Now that we've reviewed the categories, let's look at the most basic functions of our modules so that you can get started making sounds. Notice that I've loaded two processes into our blank modules, an additive synthesizer and an echo effect. We'll use these two processes to demonstrate basic module functionality. First, let's see how to make a sound from scratch using one of the instruments. Let's look at the additive synthesizer that's been loaded into our first module. This is a very powerful tool that once you learn the ins and outs can generate a huge variety of sounds. But for now, let's just use the default, a very simple single sine wave. We can start playing it by pressing down a note on the included keyboard. Alternatively, we could use the virtual keyboard or a hardware keyboard. I've pressed down a note and already we're hearing a simple sound coming out of our speakers. If I click that note again, the sound stops. Note that all modules default to sending sound out to the speakers, but this does not need to be the case. Now I've made some changes to the synthesizer. Don't worry about what I did right now. We'll look at this tool in more detail in a later video. I just set it up to generate some notes that I'd like, at a speed that I like. Look to the bottom right and notice that we're asked to choose outputs. Anything sent to master out will go to our master volume on the system board and out to our speakers. But we may want to send our sound somewhere else instead. Say we want to send the signal from our synthesizer over to our echo effect. This is done by lining up one of the output combinations in our synth to our input combination in the echo module. If you click on the left menu in the output section, you'll see a list of letters below the word master. Similarly, if we click on the right menu, we'll see a list of numbers below the word out. Remember that setting the menus to master and out will send our sound out to our system board and onto our speakers. But let's make an alternate choice for our second output. Instead of master, I'll use the letter A, and instead of out, I'll select the number 1. It doesn't matter what combination we use. It simply designates a routing combination to pair with another module's inputs. Now look over to the echo effect. Notice that since this module doesn't generate sound, we have an input option in the top left corner of the module. If we want to bring in the sound from the synthesizer, we need to make sure to select the same letter-number combination that we used as the second output of our synthesizer. So I'll select A and 1, and suddenly, we can hear our synthesizer being delayed. We can have fun with this effect and change the delay time. Notice that since master out is selected as one of the outputs in both of these processes, we're hearing both the original signal from the synthesizer as well as the delayed signal from the echo effect. This routing method of connecting inputs and outputs is critical to working on the pedal board, so be sure to take note of how this works. Also, notice that if you turn the toggle next to the menu to the on state, you can simply type in the letter-number combination on your keyboard. When you're done, hit return or enter to turn the toggle back off and set the combination. Most processes are controlled via a variety of objects. One of the most common objects is the dial. The echo effect has a number of dials, each one doing something different. Almost every module has a volume dial, and notice what happens as I turn the volume dial up and down on the echo effect. Let's try turning another dial for fun. This time, I'll choose the delay dial, which affects how long the sound is delayed before it is sent out. When you set your board up just the way you want it, you can save it for later use. Clicking the Save button brings up a dialog window asking you to name the board. Once you've given it a name, and we'll call this one Test 1, hit OK. This will save the board file to your project folder. It'll also add the board to the drop-down menu on the system board. Let's close the pedal board so we can see how to open it again. Closing the board really does close the window. It's not the same as hiding it. Keep this in mind, since closing a board while signals are running through it means that those signals will suddenly and abruptly stop. Loading a saved board can be done in one of two ways. Any board that's been saved to your project folder can be found on the drop-down menu. Here we see Test 1 is waiting to be reloaded. Choosing Test 1 from the drop-down menu causes the saved board to reopen. A moment after the module effects are loaded, the saved parameters are recalled, so that you can continue right where you left off with your work. Alternatively, you can use the MSDP button to load a board file manually. Clicking this button brings up a search window where you can point to any saved board on your computer. This makes it easy to open boards up from other projects. Okay, that ends our introductory look into pedal boards. This is most likely where you'll spend most of your time in the program. It's where all sound creation will happen. In the next video, we'll be looking at working with audio files. We'll see how to use the audio file manager and how to load audio files into your modules.